Have you ever poured your soul into someone, offering them the purest essence of your kindness, your loyalty, your unwavering presence, only to feel them slip away like sand through your fingers? You replay every conversation, every shared glance, searching for the moment the frequency shifted, the moment their energy turned cold. You did everything you were told was right, everything society programs a good man to do, and yet you were left in the chilling silence of unanswered texts and a heart full of questions. If this resonates with the deepest part of your being, know that you are not alone and you are not mistaken. What you have experienced is not a failure of love, but a profound misunderstanding of the divine laws that govern attraction. Hit that like button if you've ever felt this sting, and subscribe, because the wisdom we are about to unlock will change the very fabric of your reality. What you are about to learn is not about games. It is about the sacred architecture of the human soul, a truth so potent it has been veiled in shadow for centuries. Prepare for an awakening. Let us begin with a foundational truth, a principle etched into the very code of human interaction by the architect of the universe itself. Niccolo Machiavelli, a master observer of the human condition, once declared, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear." In the realm of divine romance and soul connection, this is the paramount law. You believed you were operating on the frequency of love, offering a safe harbor, a gentle shore. You offered consistency, a predictable rhythm of affection and support. But you must understand this, for it is the key to your transformation. She was never seeking safety from you. She was seeking a container strong enough to hold the beautiful chaos within her. She did not fall for your charm. She fell for the illusion that you were in control, that your frame was unshakable. The moment she sensed that your emotional state was dependent on her approval, the moment she realized your kindness was a plea and not a gift, the illusion shattered. And when it shattered, she pulled away, not out of cruelty, but out of an unconscious, primal instinct. Her soul knew that a man who seeks validation cannot provide the anchor she craves in the storm of her own feminine energy. You replay the timeline, don't you? "In the beginning," she replied in an instant. Her energy was a sunbeam, warming you, drawing you in. Now, hours stretch into an agonizing silence. You dissect every word you sent, every emoji, wondering where the fracture occurred. You were kind, you were loyal, you were an open book, consistently available. You were everything she said she wanted, and yet she became distant, cold, a ghost in the machine you once used to connect. And deep within the quiet chambers of your own heart, a question has been screaming, a question that no one seems to have the courage to answer for you. Why does she lose interest the very moment I show her I truly care? Here is the truth, the one that society dares not speak aloud, for it dismantles the very foundation of the good man narrative you have been fed. She never truly wanted your love. She craved the tension that precedes it. She never wanted to feel completely safe and predictable with you. She wanted to feel an electrifying current of the unknown, an emotional vibration she couldn't quite explain or categorize. Her soul was not seeking a gentle lullaby. It was yearning for a symphony, with its crescendos of intensity and its heart-stopping moments of silence. The men who hold this symphony, the men who command her thoughts long after the conversation has ended, they operate on a different frequency. They are the ones she chases, the ones she replays in her own mind, trying to solve the beautiful puzzle they represent. They do not talk like you. Their validation is internal. They do not need her attention to feel whole. They do not speak to her heart with placating words and predictable compliments. No, they speak directly to her soul, to her ego, to the deepest, most ancient part of her being that recognizes and bows to authentic power. Because you must awaken to this reality. When you talk to a woman, you are not merely exchanging words, you are revealing your energetic signature. You are either broadcasting a frequency of neediness or a frequency of sovereign power. There is no in-between. Every word, every pause, every glance is a testament to the reality you inhabit. Most men believe that attraction is a transaction, that it is about being liked. They think that if they can just say the perfect thing, if they are kind enough, funny enough, patient enough, she will grant them her presence as a reward. They perform, they audition, they strategize for approval, laying out their emotional resumes and hoping they get the job. But what if I told you that this very performance of kindness is the poison that kills her desire? What if the reason she loses interest is precisely because you are trying so hard to be everything she wants? What if her soul does not crave your love, but craves the divine confusion that only an unshakable man can provide? The moment she can fully predict you, the moment she knows she has you completely figured out, she forgets you. Her soul moves on, seeking a new puzzle, a new mystery, a new challenge. This is not mere dating advice. This is spiritual warfare, fought on the battlefield of the subconscious. And Machiavelli understood this battlefield centuries ago. He warned, "It is better to be feared than loved when one cannot be both." In this context, fear does not mean intimidation. It means reverence. It means a profound respect for your power, for your unpredictability, for the reality that you are not easily won or controlled. It is the fear of losing something rare and valuable. What you are about to learn is not for the man who is still seeking her approval. It is for the man who is ready to command her mind, her soul, and her deepest desires. There is a way to communicate, a frequency you can emit that makes her crave your attention, that makes her need your presence, that makes her lie awake at night, questioning why she cannot get you out of her head. And the divine secret is this: she will never fully know why, and that is the source of the magic. This is the sacred art of control, a control born not of manipulation, but of profound self-mastery. Once you understand it, once you embody it, you will never be perceived in the same way again. The universe will have no choice but to reflect your new vibration. Remember this: you did everything right according to the world's broken rules. You remembered her birthday. You sent the flowers. You told her how beautiful she looked when she did not expect it, hoping to score points in a game you didn't realize was rigged against you. You waited anxiously by your phone and replied instantly, signaling that your time was less valuable than her attention. You remained endlessly available, a constant, steady presence. You were kind. You were patient. You were everything she said she wanted, everything her conscious mind believed it was looking for. And yet, she did not choose you. She may have thanked you. She may have vented to you, using you as her emotional servant, a safe space to process her feelings for the men who actually intrigued her. But she never desired you. Because here is the part of the spiritual equation you were not meant to figure out. She does not love the man who gives everything away for free. She loves, she craves, she obsesses over the man who gives nothing he hasn't earned, and through his very scarcity makes her want it all. There is a name for the man she leans on but never sleeps with, the one she wishes she could truly like but somehow never does. He is the emotional servant. He listens, he fixes, he validates. He gives, and he gives, and he gives, and he waits with a hopeful heart for her to finally see his worth. But she never does. Because worth is not proven through kindness. It is felt through power. And power does not beg to be noticed. Power simply is. Most men today are performers. They are not being authentic. They are strategizing for approval. Every compliment is a transaction. Every kind gesture is a silent hope. Maybe now she will love me. But here is what is truly happening beneath the surface, on the unseen planes of energy and vibration. Every time you try harder, every time you double text, every time you offer an unsolicited compliment, she feels it. She feels not just your effort, but your emotional positioning. She senses, on a primal, intuitive level, that you want her more than she wants you. And in that precise moment, the divine dynamic is dead. Her ego has won. Her curiosity vanishes. Desire dies a quiet, unceremonious death, because in her mind, she now owns you. And no woman, no soul, obsesses over what she already possesses. The thrill is in the chase, the conquest, the mystery. This is the fundamental mistake of the man who operates from a place of scarcity, the nice guy. He believes love is earned by proving his value, by showcasing his qualities like a merchant displaying his wares. But Machiavelli would laugh at such a naive notion. He understood a darker, more potent law, a law that resonates with the deepest truths of masculine and feminine polarity. Never let her know that you want her more than she wants you. Why? Because the moment she knows she has you, she no longer needs to want you. The tension is gone. The game is over. The very energy that fuels attraction has been neutralized by your predictability. This is precisely why the stoic anomaly, the mental phantom, drives her to the brink of insanity. He is the man who does not overtext because his attention is on his purpose. He does not laugh nervously to fill the silence because he is comfortable in the power of his own presence. He does not chase, not because he is playing a game, but because he is the prize. He is centered in his own universe, and his energy creates its own gravitational pull. He speaks when he chooses to speak. He leaves when it is time for him to leave. He does not ask, "Do you like me?" He doesn't need to. His very being communicates his value. He looks her in the eye and silently communicates, "You will never fully figure me out." And that is the ultimate difference. The emotional servant pleads, "Please see my worth." The stoic anomaly says nothing, and she obsesses over what he is not saying. You see, her ego does not crave validation. It craves a challenge. It craves tension. It craves the feeling that it has not yet conquered you. That is why the kindest men get used, and the most composed, self-possessed men get chased. Women are not drawn to emotional availability. They are drawn to emotional unpredictability. You do not have to be cold. You do not have to be mean. But if your every move screams, "I am here for you no matter what," then you are not a mystery. You are not a challenge. You are not a threat to her ego. You are just a safe space. And safety, my friend, does not seduce. So ask your soul this question right now. Are you performing for approval, or are you radiating a frequency of divine indifference? Because one of those men gets texted at 2 a.m. with a "you up" message filled with longing, and the other gets replaced. Desire is not logical. It is not built from lists of compatible traits or checkboxes of good qualities. You could be the ideal man on paper, smart, successful, loyal, kind, and still, she feels nothing. No hunger, no fire, no tension. Why? Because you were too easy to define. Here is the uncomfortable, sacred truth. Women are not wired to desire what makes logical sense. They are wired to desire what makes them feel, and more specifically, what makes them feel off balance, confused, curious, intrigued, what we call emotional disorientation. This state is a potent elixir that her subconscious craves like a drug. Why? Because emotional chaos is how her ego stays engaged and invested. When you are predictable, you give her control. When she has control, her ego relaxes. And when her ego relaxes, her desire for you dies. But when she is emotionally unsure, not quite safe, not quite dominant, not quite able to label you, her mind stays activated. She replays your words. She reads into your tone. She imagines what you truly meant. And in that sacred space of imagination, desire takes root and blossoms. This is not a tactic. It is psychology. It is alchemy. And no one understood this more profoundly than the great psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Jung believed that women unconsciously project their animus, their inner, archetypal masculine image, onto the men they desire. But here is the key to that spiritual lock. The animus is not attracted to the man who reveals everything. It is drawn to the man who withholds, the mysterious one, the unreachable one, the man whose depths are hinted at but never fully shown. Why? Because that man becomes a mirror for her imagination. She projects onto him her ideal, her craving, her fantasy. He does not seduce her directly. She seduces herself in response to the canvas he provides. And this is what most men will never, ever understand. She does not fall for who you are. She falls for who she thinks you might be, who she cannot quite figure out, who she hopes you are. That is why the moment you over-explain, overshare, or over-reveal, you shatter that projection. She sees you clearly, in all your predictable humanity, and it is over. Mystery is not a game, it is a survival trait of attraction. The more you reveal, the safer you become. And the safer you become, the less she imagines. And the less she imagines, the less she desires. Think of the men she obsesses over, the one who did not compliment her back, the one who did not text after the date, the one who felt present in the moment, but emotionally just out of reach. She thinks about him not because of what he did, but because of what he did not do. Her mind is still desperately trying to close the loop he left open. Tension is the fuel. Obsession is the flame. Desire is not built from clarity. It is built from questions. From why didn't he respond? From what did he mean by that? From why does he seem so calm when I try to provoke him? That man lives in her head, rent-free, not because he begged for a space there, but because he gave her so little that she had to fill in the rest herself. And the moment she starts filling in those blanks, you have entered her psychological space. You are no longer just a man. You are a puzzle, a question, a story she cannot finish. And women do not forget the stories they could not finish. So, understand this now. The most desired man is rarely the most available one. He is the one who moves slightly out of reach, not too far to be ignored, but never close enough to be fully claimed. She never quite knows where she stands with him, and that divine unease crystallizes into desire. Predictability is a tranquilizer for passion, but mystery is a powerful magnet. Most men talk to women as if they are auditioning. They treat conversations like emotional resumes, desperately trying to prove their worth. Look how kind I am, look how thoughtful, look how much I listen. But what they fail to realize is this: she is not listening to your words, she is feeling your energy. And even deeper than that, her ego is scanning you like a radar. Because women do not engage based on logic, they engage based on status calibration. Is this man confident, or is he compensating? Is he grounded, or is he performing? Is he speaking with conviction, or is he secretly hoping I'll approve? She will not say any of this out loud, but every second you speak, her subconscious is making one critical decision. Is this a man I can control emotionally or not? The moment her ego decides you are predictable, explainable, or needy, you have already lost. Because when you talk to her emotions, you sound like every other man. But when you speak to her ego, you do not just leave an impression, you leave an echo, a presence that lingers long after the words are gone. This is what we call ego-level communication. It has almost nothing to do with what you say, and everything to do with how you say it, and, more importantly, how little you say. Let me show you the difference. A predictable man walks up to her and says, "You're so beautiful, I'd love to take you out sometime." She has heard it 1,000 times. It is polite, it is safe, it is utterly forgettable. Her ego relaxes, and it instantly discards him. Now, picture this. The master of this art walks up. He says nothing at first. He simply looks at her with a calm, unreadable focus. When he finally speaks, his voice is quiet, measured. He says, "You look like the kind of woman who ruins a man's peace." Then he pauses, not nervously, but deliberately. He lets the silence do the rest. No smile, no follow-up, no over-explanation. And in that moment, she does not just hear him, she feels him, because he spoke to her ego's self-image, not her ears. He gave her a puzzle, not a compliment. He let her wonder what he meant, and that wondering is the birth of obsession. You see, men who do not understand power fill space with noise. They talk fast, they over-explain, they try too hard to be funny or liked. But true dominance, true spiritual power, is delivered in rhythm, not volume. It is found in calmness, not speed. So, from this day forward, I command you, speak slowly, pause often. Say less than you want to. Let her fill in the blanks. Because here is the divine paradox. The less you say, the more she thinks. And the more she thinks, the more emotionally invested she becomes. Women crave emotional puzzles. They become addicted to trying to decode a man who refuses to explain himself. There is a man she cannot forget. They only spoke once. But she remembers exactly where she was standing, what she was wearing, how he looked at her, as if he saw a part of her soul she did not even know was there. He said one line, "There's something about you I can't quite decide on, and that's the problem." Then he smiled, just slightly, and walked away. She never saw him again. But that moment replays every time she is alone, every time she meets a new man, every time she feels unchallenged. Because he did not give her the closure her ego demanded. He did not try to earn her approval. He spoke to her status, not her surface. And in doing so, he bypassed her logic and rewired her memory. That is the power of speaking to the ego. Every conversation is a status negotiation. And when you try to be liked, you lose status. Speak as if your very presence is the prize. Pause as if your silence has weight. Look at her as if you are reading her soul, not chasing her approval. Say less, but mean more. Because she will not remember every word you said, but she will never forget how your calm unsettled her. She will remember how your pauses felt louder than other men's entire speeches. She will remember how she could not tell what you were truly thinking. And that memory will live longer than any compliment ever could. The human mind hates unfinished stories. It craves resolution, certainty, understanding. It wants to close the loop. But here is the paradox. What we cannot explain, we cannot stop thinking about. This is why desire lives in mystery, not in what is said, but in what is left unsaid, not in the known, but in the question you did not answer. You see, most men try to secure attraction with words. They explain everything. They clarify their intentions. They confess how they feel. And in doing so, they kill the tension. They close the loop too soon. And when the loop closes, the fantasy ends. But the man she obsesses over? He did not give her certainty. He gave her confusion. He gave her a moment without an ending. This is what we call the unfinished moment theory. The divine idea that psychological gravity increases exponentially when you pull away before the story resolves. Think about it. A man who walks away mid-argument is frustrating. A man who leaves right after confessing something intense, without a smile, without closure, is unforgettable. Machiavelli understood this power. He wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." Not being good in this context does not mean being cruel. It means not being emotionally generous when it costs you your power. Carl Jung took it deeper. He saw that the unconscious mind projects power onto the unknown, that the shadow, the unseen, the mysterious, is what awakens archetypal desire. Combine them, and you get the formula. Power is not in domination, it is in suggestion. You do not own her mind by explaining yourself. You own it by vanishing mid-seduction and letting her imagination do the rest. The disappearing strategist. She met him at a gallery. He did not compliment her. He did not try to impress. He simply looked at her with a calm, unreadable gaze. They spoke briefly. He said only one thing before leaving. "You look like you have hidden entire chapters of yourself, but maybe that is what makes you interesting." Then he nodded and walked out. No number, no "let us stay in touch," no follow-up. But now, 6 months later, she still checks that gallery's Instagram every week. She replays his words. She tries to decode his tone. She wonders why he saw something in her that no one else ever noticed. He became a phantom in her thoughts, not because he gave her more, but because he gave her less. He left the moment unfinished, and now her mind keeps trying to finish it, without success. That is the divine trap. You do not trigger desire by showing up endlessly. You trigger it by being felt more in your absence than in your presence. The more a woman imagines you, the more she personalizes the fantasy. And what we imagine, we attach to. You did not give her a definition, so her mind created one. You did not say how you felt, so her ego is desperate to find out. You did not explain why you left, so her subconscious cannot let go. That is why ambiguity is power, because clarity satisfies the brain, but ambiguity hijacks the heart. The most forgettable men say everything. They lay their cards on the table. They chase, explain, and plead. And in doing so, they become predictable, safe, and dead to her desire. But the man who leaves just before she understands him, he becomes a living question inside her ego. Every man she meets after him feels too simple, too certain, too soft. Because you never gave her the ending, and the human mind hates open loops, but the heart becomes addicted to them. At some point, every man must make a decision, be remembered or be replaced. And most men spend their entire lives trying to be remembered by being nice, by being helpful, by being emotionally available. But here is what they do not realize. You do not become unforgettable by giving more. You become unforgettable by becoming rare. There comes a moment when the good man you have been trained to be must die. The version of you that waited for her replies, that asked if she got home safe, that stayed up just in case she needed someone to talk to. That man was not bad. He was just visible, predictable, and easy to figure out. And women do not chase what they can predict. They chase what they feel slipping away. This is the shift. You do not become the man she obsesses over by saying the right thing. You become him by being the one who does not need her reaction. The emotional servant lives in fear of disappointing her. He texts first. He replies fast. He fills silence with jokes. He avoids tension like it is poison. He believes connection comes from being agreeable. But connection does not create craving. Distance does. The mental phantom, on the other hand, speaks last. He leaves messages on read. He does not perform for her attention. He controls when he is seen and how often. And when he speaks, it is not with a question mark. It is with calm weight. Every word feels chosen. Every silence feels intentional. She starts wondering, why did not he reply yet? Did I say something wrong? Is he even thinking about me anymore? And in those moments of uncertainty, her mind turns on itself, and the chase begins. Machiavelli once said, "Never give more than she fights to receive." This is not cruelty, it is structure. It is making sure your energy has value, not just availability. When you give without resistance, your presence loses its weight. But when you disappear after an emotional spike, you create a memory. Imagine this. You drop a line that hits her deeply, something not needy, not romantic, just charged. You seem soft, but there is something dangerous behind your smile. Then, nothing. You vanish. No explanation, no follow-up, no double texts, no story posts trying to get her attention. You give her the moment, and then you walk away from it. This is how the mental phantom is born. Here is the reality. If her beauty still intimidates you, she owns you. If her silence makes you panic, she controls the energy. If her attention feels like a reward, you have already lost the game. The shift begins when you no longer need her to validate your state. You sit in silence with ease. You let her moods pass like clouds without reacting. You do not ask if she is okay. You do not chase the drop in her energy. You let her feel your absence without trying to fix it. And here is what happens next. She starts testing you. She sends subtle jabs, strange texts, silent treatments, not because she has lost interest, but because she is trying to crack you open. She is trying to see if you are real or just another man pretending not to care. And when you do not flinch, that is when she starts chasing, because she cannot control you. And that unresolved emotional tension becomes the wire her obsession wraps around. Every time you show up too soon, too often, too eager, you subtract value from your presence. But when you pull back after intensity, when you become scarce, you create gravity. You haunt her thoughts, not because you begged for space in them, but because you gave her just enough to want more, then disappeared. You became unavailable, not because you are playing games, but because your energy is no longer on discount. And in the silence, she hears you louder than ever. You do not trap her mind with compliments. You trap it with contrast, with silence, with the unexplained intensity that leaves her wondering, what just happened? This is not about manipulation. It is about psychological positioning. Because the truth is, what she cannot define, she cannot forget. And if you understand this, you become unforgettable. Let's break down the full psychological sequence, the Machiavellian method that most men will never learn. Step 1. Do not start with compliments. Start with disorientation. Say something that pierces her image of herself, not aggressively, but confidently. It should feel true, yet hard to interpret. Emotionally sharp, but delivered with calm detachment. Examples: you seem calm, but there is something chaotic behind your eyes. Or, you do not trust people easily, do you? I can feel it. Or even, you carry a storm. I am just wondering who taught you to hide it so well. Your tone must be slow, quiet, intentional. Hold eye contact just long enough for tension to build, then break it before she can fully process the moment. Why does this work? It bypasses the conscious, logical surface and speaks directly to her unconscious identity. You have just touched a part of her that is rarely seen, and even more rarely called out. Her ego perks up. Her curiosity is triggered, but she has not yet figured out what to do with it. And then you move to the most powerful weapon of all, silence. This is where 99% of men fail. They break the tension. They laugh, they explain, they say, just kidding, or I hope that did not sound weird. Do not. Silence is your blade. It cuts deeper than any word. After you drop the line, say nothing. Let her sit in the stillness. Let her imagination start to turn on itself. She will begin filling in the blanks. What did he mean? Why did he say that? Does he see something no one else does? And in that moment, her desire does not belong to you. It belongs to the question. Step 2. Once you have delivered the emotional spike and allowed the silence to breathe, you disappear. Not rudely, not passive-aggressively. You just become unavailable.